NCOP process and to enable the legislature to participate in the mandate required at the NCOP. Today's special sitting is being held to deal with the debate and voting on the conferral of a final mandate on the expropriation bill B23D 2020. I trust members you will find this to be in order. I will also go on to, honorable members, remind you that this is a special sitting with members having connected virtually. The sitting will be conducted in terms of our standing rules. We'll have party voting in terms of Rule 288.4 of the rules, which states as follows: the presiding officer or chairperson must before or at the start of the discussion on the matter expressly inform members if a party vote will be taken. Honorable members, in line with the above, I confirm that voting will take place on the expropriation bill B23D 2020. A party vote is a collective vote on behalf of all the members of a party present at this virtual sitting up to the total membership of that party in the sitting. Honorable members, I will, however, allow an opportunity for any individual member to vote differently from his or her party or to abstain if any member wishes to do so. We will now proceed with the rest of the items on the order paper. On apologies, we have the apology of Honorable Mr. M.E. Phakathi, who has a party commitment. Honorable members, we want to wish all members of our Muslim community well while they are in their holy month of Ramadan. Ramadan is remembered as the month in which the Prophet Muhammad, and may peace be upon him, received the first of the revelations which make up the Holy Quran. May the blessings of Allah protect and guide you during the holy month of Ramadan, honorable members, to the honorable members and to all the Muslim communities in our province. The second announcement is the briefing by the Office of the AG. Kindly note that the AG will be briefing members on the 2022-23 MFMA KwaZulu-Natal audit outcomes at 9:30 today. Please note that the briefing will take place on the virtual platform via MS Teams. Members will use the same link that connected them to this special sitting. We'll now move on to allow the Honorable Premier to make announcements or reports if there are any. We therefore give this opportunity to the Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Good morning to you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable members. Honorable Speaker, on this day, 3 years ago, darkness is descended on the province when our beloved monarch, King Zwelithini Zulu, joined the realm of the ancestors. We still fateful day, dawn turned into dusk, as the sad and unbelievable news of King's demise reached our ears. His untimely passing dealt us a severe blow. We'll always remember Mdlobombane as the king who cared about the health and well-being of his nation. He fiercely fought against the spread of HIV and AIDS by recommending male circumcision to be undertaken in hospitals. We also noted that His Majesty the King, Mrs. Zwelithini, has called on all members and friends of the Zulu nation to observe a minute silence at midday at 12 today to honor the 3rd anniversary of the passing of the King, Zwelithini Zulu. He was passionate about planting, encouraging people to till their land in order to fight the pangs of hunger. His passion for education knew no bounds. He encouraged learners to focus on education because he saw it as a gateway to success and prosperity. Mdlobombane may have gone, but his memory lingers long in our lives and in history. Honorable members, we also wish to give this announcement that the KwaZulu-Natal provincial government is sending messages of comfort to bus passengers who were involved in a bus accident on Sunday morning on their way to Moses Mabhida Stadium. Our hearts are with those who were injured, and we wish them a speedy recovery. We are pleased to announce that Honorable Nomagugu Smelane, the MEC for Health, and Honorable MEC Shomuga, in his capacity as MEC Transport Committee Safety and Liaison, quickly activated their respective teams of dedicated professionals. A team of healthcare professionals ensured that, my apology, ensured that quality healthcare was provided to the injured. On the other hand, traffic authorities will investigate the circumstances surrounding the accident where necessary. The MEC for Social Development, Honorable Khoza, will also ensure psychosocial trauma counseling in respect of those members that were all going to Moses Mabhida to the IFP rally. Honorable members, we wish to commend that while none of the 9 provinces reached 95 of the UN AIDS target last year, we are pleased to learn that KwaZulu-Natal was the best performing province, as it had 76% of clients remains on antiretroviral therapy. This is according to the 16th District Health Barometer launched last week by non-governmental organizations of Health Systems Trust for 2022-2023 period. The barometer presents key findings on the performance of South Africa's 52nd Health District. The 95-95-95 strategy, created in 2014 by United AIDS, aims to end the AIDS epidemic by 2030 by achieving 95% diagnosed among all people living with HIV and AIDS, 95 on ART amongst the diagnosed, and 95 virally suppressed among the treated. KwaZulu-Natal was the best performing province in 2022-23, with all the districts obtaining a cervical cancer screening coverage above the national average of 21.4%. We commend the MEC of Health with her team, the Department of Health under the leadership of the Honorable MEC, for the sterling performance in taking care and ensuring the quality health care of the people of KwaZulu-Natal. Honorable members, we have learned with concern that South African Civil Aviation Authority, SACA, has downgraded Richards Bay Airport from Category 5 to Category 2 over fire safety concerns following a routine inspection. Commercial airlines such as Airlink confirmed the airport's downgrade last week, which forced it to suspend flights between Richards Bay and Johannesburg. This means that the airport is not allowed to land commercial aircraft. Only small aircraft may use the airport until downgrade is lifted. The temporary downgrade of the airport is the cause for concern because it is going to affect the economy of the region, and the passengers will be hit hard as they now have to travel long distance to King Shaka International Airport for their departures. We wish to request provincial departments to support the municipality as well as those responsible to ensure that these matters are attended to, so as to ensure that KwaZulu-Natal is not disadvantaged in terms of those that are using the Richards Bay Airport. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Oh, thank you, Honourable Premier. We'll now go to tabling of reports. The first report that we are tabling is the report from the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, amendments to resolutions number 29 of 2023, 31 and 32 of 2023 relating to unauthorized expenditure. And the other tabling is from the Public Service Commission, Section 1964E report of the 2022-2023 in terms of Section 196(4)(e) of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. Is there any other tabling that we might have not mentioned, honorable members, that will, okay. We will now hand over the time to the Honorable Chief Whip to make formal motions or notices. Honorable Chief Whip.
Good morning, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. Honorable Speaker, there are no formal motions and notices from the Office of the Chief Whip. Thank you so much.
Honorable members, therefore, we move to the order of the day, which is the debate and voting on the conferral of a final mandate on the Expropriation Bill B23D 2020. I now call upon the Honorable E.V. Dube on behalf of the Chairperson of Public Works Portfolio Committee for 5 minutes to table the report. Honorable E.V. Dube.
Thank you very much, Somlomo. This is the final mandate of the Public Works Portfolio Committee on the Appropriation Bill, as stated by Somlomo. Honorable Speaker, in terms of Section 42(4) of the Constitution, the National Council of Provinces represents provinces to ensure that the provincial interests are taken into account in the national sphere of government by participating in this national legislative process. The consultation were made on the 28th of April 2023. The Portfolio Committee convened a special virtual meeting to have a brief from the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure of the Standing Road. The Portfolio Committee resolved to cluster some of the different districts together, and 6 public hearings were held. eThekwini and Metro Mgungundlovu District, Reinkonyeni, and Kwala, they were held. The public hearings were advertised from the 16th of July to 24th of August on the KZN Legislature website and the following newspapers: Solezwe Ilanga Mercury, Zululand Observer, Natal Witness, Sunday Tribune. KZN Namuhla, Sivubela Intuthuko, and many others. The hearings were also held at the Multipurpose Center in Zululand and also at Ulund, the Old Legislature Chamber. We went to Mgungundlovu and Mandeni.
Honorable Dube.
Yes.
Honorable Dube.
Yes,
I was checking with other people on the other on IT. Your face is not showing. Have your camera on, Chair.
My camera is on. I can see myself here. The camera is on, also on top of my tablet.
No, you are not showing. It's your shutters. You need to show your face at some point in time. Continue with your presentation, sir.
I'll try again. Okay. After the consultation purposes, the public hearing proceeded well, and we were all satisfied with the attendance by the relevant stakeholders and members of the public in all venues. When the Portfolio Committee engaged with stakeholders and members of the public during the public hearing in different districts, the Portfolio Committee made a call for a written submission to be submitted to the KZN Legislature before the 1st of September 2023. Discussions on the 12th of March 2024, the Portfolio Committee convened a special meeting to deliberate on the NCOP Select Committee, agreed on amendments to the Expropriation Bill, and vote on the final mandate to the National Council of Provinces. Adoption of the final mandate, having considered the NCOP Select Committee minutes of the meeting and the final version of the Expropriation Bill, and informed by considerable deliberation, the Portfolio Committee voted for the final mandate as follows: African National Congress supported, IFP rejected, Democratic Alliance reject, Economic Freedom Fighters reject, and the minority parties were absent. the majority members of the Portfolio Committee decided to vote in support of the expropriation bill. Honorable Speaker, the Portfolio Committee recommended that the Legislature must confer authority on 1, the KZN provincial delegation to the NSOP to vote in support of the expropriation bill at the relevant NSOP Select Committee. And number 2, the head of the provincial delegation to the NCOP or the delegate designated by the head of the delegation to vote in support of the expropriation bill B23D-2020 at the NCOP plenary. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is the report of the Public Works Committee final mandate on the expropriation bill B23D-2020. Ngiyabonga Somlomo.
Honorable members, thank you. Honorable Dube will be assisted so that we see your face. We now call upon the Honorable M.A. Chiliza for 7 minutes on behalf of the ANC. Please do switch on your camera, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Somlomo. Somlomo.
Yes, Honorable Chiliza, you can go on.
Oh, thank you. Somlomo, let me first apologize. I'm in a place where network is a big problem. I'm just hoping that you can see me on the camera because I can't see even myself. Speaker, Honorable Premier Leader of Community Businesses, Honorable members of the Executive Council, members of the House, the systematic dispossession of indigenous African communities from the land of their ancestors, as well as the imposition of discriminatory laws and policies to further marginalize the native population is what gave birth to the only people's movement, the ANC. And indeed, from its inception, the ANC has continued and still continues to challenge the status quo and advocate for the rights and interests of the marginalized Black population in South Africa. It has done this through introduction of several progressive socio-economic policies, frameworks, and measures whose primary objectives consistently included reducing economic inequality that we inherited. These measures include employment, equity measures, land restitution, and land reform, broad-based Black economic empowerment, preferential procurement, small businesses development, and as well as the development of Black industrialists, amongst others. Honorable members, it has further taken undeniable concrete steps to eradicate the material basis of racism, sexism, and class division in our country by working to ensure equal access to education, healthcare, housing, social grants, and other basic services. These policies and measures have been consistent with the Freedom Charter, the blueprint of our South African democracy that was produced by people from all corners of South Africa. As we all know, the Freedom Charter, which informs the basic policy position of the ANC, was not just an agreement on the creation of a just and democratic society where harmony amongst the people exists, but it also had specific interventions to the economy that were justly demanded by our forebears. It demanded, amongst other things, that the people shall share in the country's wealth, which includes land, thereby redressing centuries of economic dispossession and exploitation. Indeed, despite facing numerous challenges and setbacks, this exploitation bill will be another significant milestone of this progressive government towards achieving social justice and equality for all South Africans. Overall, this expropriation bill, has the potential to bring about positive change in our country as it allows the government to acquire land for public possession purposes in order to promote sustainable development and address historical injustices. It annexes other key milestones in the ANC's land restitution efforts, such as the enactment of the Restitution of Land Rights Act in 1994, which provided a legal framework for individuals and communities who were forcibly removed from their land to claim restitution. Through this act, the ANC government has been able to facilitate the return of land to thousands of claimants, thereby not only addressing historical injustices, but also promoting social and economic development. The bill further adds to the Land Tenure Security Act, which seeks to protect the land rights of vulnerable communities, particularly those living in rural areas. This act not only recognizes the customary land rights of the indigenous people, but also ensures that they have legal resource in case of disputes over the land ownership. Members, this bill is also in line with the ANC 2024 manifesto, which emphasizes the need to address the legacy of colonialism and apartheid by ensuring that land is equitably redistributed to address the historical dispossession of Black South Africans. One of the key provisions of this expropriation bill is the principle of just and equitable compensation. This aligns with the ANC's commitment to ensuring that land reform is carried out in the manner that is fair and transparent. Furthermore, this expropriation bill includes provision for the establishment of a land commission to oversee the expropriation process and ensure that it is carried out in accordance with the law, which also aligns with the ANC's commitment to strengthen institutions and ensuring good governance in the implementation land reform policies. Only an enemy of such needed progress can stand to oppose. Not only on this bill, but the manifesto of the ANC as well, which you have seen that everyone has copied on it, those who launched their manifestos after the ANC. So the public can understand that the best manifesto is for the ANC, which will be easily implemented after elections. So that is why people will continue voting for the ANC. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kaliza. And the next member for 5 minutes is the Honorable Tipim Tetwa of the IFP.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. May I be allowed to switch off my camera because my reception is not good. Honorable Speaker, the IFP fully understand that this is about addressing historic injustices and dispossession of Black majority. It is also an opportunity to unlock growth, redistribute assets, and promote social economy and transformation. But is this bill not a failed expropriation without compensation? Further, it lacked clarity and is focused on commercialization of land rather than the well-being of the people. We took the well-being of the people first as the IFP. It is an undisputed fact that the government owns thousands of hectares of land. It is our considered view as the IFP that the government must conduct a land audit and verify which land belongs to the government and which belong to private owners. It must not just assume land does not have owners. The traditional leaders are the custodian of the land belonging to them on behalf of their people. The IFP is concerned that the bill also places at risk the right of traditional leaders to the land they occupy under the Ngonyama Trust land. The IFP encourages all people and entities to pay for municipal services, such as rates that must be enforced. But the IFP is concerned about passing the burden to the expropriating authority of paying outstanding municipal rates, taxes and levies, and other charges out of the compensation money. All outstanding bill must be settled before the expropriation takes place. Also, nothing has been said about what action will be taken should a municipal manager fail to inform the expropriating authority of outstanding municipal property rates, taxes, or other charges. Then if that is not clear, we are skeptical to say the bill must continue. Further, the IFP is concerned about some sections of the bill, such as Section 12.3 of the Expropriation Bill, which clearly contravenes the Constitution by providing specific instances where nil compensation was already deemed to be just and equitable. Fair and equitable compensation has to be maintained. That is our position. We need to remember that property ownership is a fundamental human right. Ultimately, any expropriation undertaken in accordance with the bill must not be subject to the overacting provision of Section 25 and 36 of the Constitution, which requires that all acts and expropriation takes place in terms of a law of general application, be in the public interest or public purpose, and ultimately be just and equitable in the circumstances. Further, the IFP notes that there are clauses that are discriminatory in nature, such as Clause 23, that gives the expropriation authority the right to extend any time period stipulated in the bill by mutual agreement with the owner or relevant holder of right, but the same right is not available for the owner. Payment in full should be made before the date of the transfer. The IFP reject the bill. I thank you.
Thank you. The next member is Honorable Emna of the DA for 4 minutes.
Good morning, Madam Speaker, and to all members online. Let me place on record that the DA fully supports land reform and restitution. Our existing land reform policies are not the problem. Land reform has failed because of corruption and maladministration. Now, the expropriation bill is not the answer to land reform. Private property rights are the cornerstone of any democracy. And constitutional democracy exists where the rights of the individual are of greater value than the rights of the state. Now, the expropriation bill creates a situation where the rights of the state carry far more weight than that of the individual. Let's take a look at some of the concerns in the bill. Now, the bill provides for expropriation for public good or interest, with the result being that government can arbitrarily decide what constitutes public good or interest. Then the bill adopts the constitutional definition of property to include intellectual property, which means that expropriation may go way beyond land and buildings. And thirdly, the bill provides for nil compensation for expropriated property, which leaves property owners in the lurch in terms of outstanding bank loans, rates, and utilities. Fourth, the transfer of expropriated property can still proceed as normal, even if there are delays in the compensation, despite the effect on those waiting to be reimbursed. Now, this puts the property owner at a distinct disadvantage. And lastly, property valuation is a concern. There's no clarity regarding valuers' qualifications, or even whether important factors like relocation costs would be considered. Now, despite this being a crucial piece of legislation relating to the protection of private property rights, the majority of public hearings were held away from urban areas, discouraging maximum public participation. Now, residents of KZN's only metro were required to travel all the way to Pietermaritzburg to voice their concerns. Despite the majority of KZN land belonging to the Ngonyama Trust, there has been virtually no input from the traditional leaders. Now, there was supposed to have been a special engagement with them, but nothing was arranged, which clearly shows that processes were rushed and not fully complete. How can we confer a final mandate on this bill without having engaged with the largest landowners in KwaZulu-Natal? It is clear that this legislation seeks to sneak the failed expropriation without compensation project through the legislative back door. Now, as the DA, we simply cannot support a bill that's wholly in favor of the state and infringes on individual rights. The DA rejects this bill.
Thank you. The next member is Honorable Npai Peli for 3 minutes of the EFF.
Greetings, Honorable Speaker, members of the House. Before I start my debate, let me greet our Commander-in-Chief, Honorable Julius Silo Malema, and the caucus of the EFF. As the economic freedom fighters, one of our own non-negotiable pillars in the is the expropriation of South Africans' land without compensation for equally redistribution. We therefore reject the amendment to this bill, as it does not offer solutions on how to address unequal distribution of land in the country. This bill aims to legalize expropriation with compensation in certain instances, and we are calling for the amendment of the Constitution to allow the expropriation of land without compensation. Our people were illegally and forcefully removed their land. 80% of the land is in the hands of whites, and the question remains, who are we compensating? How did they acquire the land? The land must be returned to our people without paying a cent. So the EFF rejects the bill. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The next member for 1 minute is the Honorable Sam Shinga for the NFP.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, good morning. It is crucial to our country's future and the establishment of a society of equality. The land question is a defining issue in our democracy. The 1975 Expropriation Act is in contradiction to the Constitution and violates the constitutionally defined concepts of lawful, procedurally fair and reasonable administrative justice. Honorable Speaker, the subject of land expropriation without compensation has always been a part of our constitutional framework. And the NFP supports the current process with the expropriation bill as it is intended to put the Constitution into practice. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The next speaker for 1 minute is the Honorable Esther Rajbansi for MF.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The Minority Front supports the conferral of KZN's mandate for the expropriation bill to the NCOP. This bill entails the critical issue of transformation in land use and has been widely consulted as it is in public interest to repeal outdated laws and replace with progressive legislation that speaks to a democratic South Africa, where compensation and no compensation are included, which now makes for good regulations in respect of Section 25.4 to 8 and 36 of the Constitution. This bill is crucial for the development of South Africa, as we need to remove stumbling blocks that keep us classified as a developing country. Hence, a land audit is also imperative for a baseline for implementation of this bill. The Minority Front supports the expropriation bill with the above explanations. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker for 1 minute is the Honorable Emmy Pakati for the ATM. We have received an apology and no indication of a replacement. We will now move to Honorable S.E. Manqele for 1 minute for the ACDP. Honorable Manqele. Honorable Manqele. Honorable Manqele is called 3 times and there was no response, and we also cannot see him on the virtual platform, so he's not in the house. We will move to the next and the last speaker on the debate, the Honorable Inkosi Undwalane, on behalf of the ANC for 7 minutes.
Speaker of the Legislature, Honorable Premier, Leader of Government Business, Honorable Members of the Executive Council, Honorable Members of the Provincial Legislature. Indeed, 3 full decades later, the ANC-led government remains unflinching in its resolve to ensure our legislative arm continues to be people-centered in approach. This is done through challenging public representatives to work faster, harder and smarter to meet the legitimate demands and expectations of the people. This is done through leading in the entrenchment of the ethos and the values of activism within this legislature and ensuring that this institution fulfills its critical role of conducting robust oversight in the interest of the people without fear or favor. This is done through crisscrossing our province with programs such as taking Parliament to the people, announced visits, conducting public hearing during processing of bills and invitation of the contribution of experts and civil society as well as we have done. In the processing this expropriation bill, honorable members, this gathering itself, debating on this bill, is indicating of the commitment of our ANC-led government to ensuring that the will of the people is always considered and always prevails. This is in line with the ANC's robust internal democracy since its inception, which no other organization has been able to emulate. Whenever or whether you speak of the IFP, DA, or EFF, yes, there are untouchable mini codes there who dictate which direction the organization should take. And as a result, our inclusivity being a
Honorable Alane?
Sorry, there is a problem of the network. Yeah. And progressive people's movement, the ANC continues to be responsible for developing and implementing legislation that addresses various social, economic, and political challenges faced by our people. As outlined by our chairperson, this bill finally allows for the expropriation of property for a public purpose or in a public interest. This expropriation will be subject to compensation, the amount of which and time and the manner of payment of which have either been agreed to by those affected or decided or approved by a court. Furthermore, the amount of the compensation and the time and manner of payment will be just and equitable, reflecting an equitable balance between the public interest and the interest of those affected, having regard to all relevant circumstances, including the current use of the property, the history of the acquisition and use of the property, the market value of the property, the extent of direct estate investment and subsidy in the acquisition, and the beneficial capital improvement of the property and the purpose of the expropriation. This bill further gives our minister power to also expropriate property to be used for the provision and the management of the accommodation, land, and infrastructure needs of an organ of state. This will undoubtedly help to address issues of land inequality and ensure that marginalized communities have access to land for housing, agriculture, and other essential needs. Thereby promote social and economic development skillfully and competently, outlined by the manifesto of our glorious movement, the African National Congress. Furthermore, this expropriation bill will also help to promote sustainable development and expropriation land for conservation purposes. Will protect natural resources and promote environmental sustainability. This is important for ensuring that future generations have access to clean air, water, and land. And of course, this expropriation bill can help to address historical injustices related to land ownership in South Africa by expropriating land that was unfairly taken from indigenous communities during apartheid. Our progressive government, which will be led by the ANC beyond the 29th of May, will continue work towards reconciliation and justice, thus promoting social cohesion and healing envisaged by our forebears and founders of the movement. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. We have now come to the end of the debate. Now we'll call upon the chairperson, the acting chairperson, Honorable Evie Dube, to respond to the debate for 5 minutes. Honorable Evie Dube.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Somlomo. Ngifuna ukubonga bonke abaparticipatile kule debate yanamhlanje ebekhuluma ngebill that provides for the appropriation of property for a public purpose or in public interest. Ngiyafisa nje ukusho ukuthi kusobala ukuthi inhlangano ezifana ne-IFP, ne-DA, ne-EFF zisenakho ukungaqonda ukuthi kukhona uguquko noshintsho esifuna ukulenza kule lizwe. Baphikisa baze baphikisa into abayibona nayo kahle ukuthi izosiza abantu bakithi abamnyama. One will understand resistance from the DA, as Honorable Naya was putting here. One of the mistakes ayenzayo njengamanje nento ayishoyo which is not true is that ama hearings were only done in rural areas. There is nothing wrong, by the way, ukuthi ama hearing enziwe in rural areas, because abantu bakuma rural areas basabantu nabo futhi babalekile embusweni wase South Africa. But nevertheless, ama hearings were done in Pietermaritzburg. I don't know noma iPietermaritzburg nayo iCity Hall uyiconsider njenge rural area noma ufuna ukuchazela isingisi ngesijali. Kodwa ke futhi masiya ku IFP ngakithi iIFP iyavuma ukuthi we are for the well-being of the people. But ke kodwa yet they are the ones who are objecting to the changes that the ANC is introducing so that the people are able to acquire ama properties and land. Angibazi noma bayalazi nithi ukuthi le bill izosiza kakhulu la eThekwini kunamabhilidi amaningi othi mawuwabona asesidalela ingxaki enkulu ahlala amaphara uyasibuza ukuthi leli bhilidi labani ilo lahlala iminyaka ngeminyaka bawuqeda u30 years lawo mabhilidi njengamanje engcolisa idolobha lethu. Le bill ke izosiza kakhulu ezintweni ezifana nalezo ngoba sizokwazi ukuthi amabhilidi njengalawo asetshenziselwe ibenefit yomphakathi wakithi. Siyabonga kakhulu kuDunge. It's very true, Honorable Dunge, ukuthi we as ANC, we are for social justice, we are for positive change. We want to address the historical differences, which is something that other organizations are not interested on in changing the status quo. Kubona nje kulungile ukuthi abantu bakithi bangabi namhlaba, bangabi nayo indawo abazoyisebenzisa bese besebenzisa excuse ukuthi kuzothathwa indawo zesilo okuyinto abayaziyo na ukuthi cha iyinkulumo nje yokuqhatha engenaso isisekelo kulokhu abakushoyo. iEFF ayike ngihlulekile ke namhlanje ingihlula ngempela iEFF iphika kwasani yabona nje into ephathene nomhlaba nokubuyisela komhlaba into okufanele ngabe siyavumelana nabo ngoba phela baze bangena eParliament nje batshontsha amavoti abantu babe bathembisile ukuthi bazowabuyisela emhlaba. Okumangazayo abakwenzayo i-EFF imane igxumeka amatendayo igxumeka imijondolo ukuthi abantu abagxumeka imijondolo noma ikuphi abafuni kwenzeka izinto ngomthetho. Uma labantu sebesuswa kulezi indawo igxuma kuqala i-EFF ithi labantu bayahlukunyezwa. Hayi ngiyafisa ukuthi ngabe umphakathi ulalele nje ukuyizwe le EFF kanti ukuthi uyini inyoka enjani enekhanda elingaphambili nangemuva kusho ukuthi iphinde ilume yona iphinde iphikise yona. Umuntu nje impela ongathi uvotela i-EFF kulonyaka hayi ngabe uyasikhohlisa kakhulu ukuthi khona ushintsho alivotelayo ngaphandle nje kokuthi ke ngimzwile umhlonishwa eyibingelela uHonorable uJulius Malema ngingazi ukuthi ke ukumbingelela kwakhe kusho ukuthini. Kodwa ke adlule lapho siyabonga kakhulu umntakasheka isupport oyinikezayo entshengisa ukuthi ngempela ibill ne understand ngoba that's another thing engizwayo in these various other organizations. They did not give themselves time to study the bill. They did not give themselves time to look at what the bill really says. They just assumed ukuthi ibill isho lokhu engakusho and then they come here and not debate on the bill and tell us about other things that we are not interested on. The Minority Fund, thank you very much for the support. Yes, the bill is about transformation, which is what we need. The bill is progressive, yes, indeed, and it is crucial for development. Okugcina kwe-ANC inkosi Ndwalane uyibeke wayihlaba esikhonkosini ukuthi as African National Congress we are about the will of the people. Khona ke igama lesiLatini noma isisho sesiLatini sithi vox populi vox gratia. The voice of the people is the voice of God. We are those people as African National Congress who are making sure ukuthi izwi likaThixo liyezwakala emhlabeni ngokuthi senze lokho okuzonelisa abantu nalokho okuzokwenza ukuthi impilo zabantu ziguqulwe futhi baphinde bajabule babone ukuthi cha i-ANC ngempela iseyona nhlangano okufanele ba-relye kuyo ngoba iyawabheka ama-interest abo. Sineqiniso lokuthi luningi uguquko oluzokwenzeka ezweni lethu eSouth Africa uma ngabe abantu besaqhubeka njalo beyethemba i-ANC ngoba asifike eParliament noma ifike eParliament ilali iguqula imithetho eyayibekwe wonxiwa ukuze bavikele imhlaba beyivikelela bona bodwa kodwa ukhongolose ubeka ngokusobala ukuthi cha lo mhlaba wokhokho bethu noba bomkhulu sokwenza isiqiniseko sokuthi sowusebenzisa ngendlela efanele for the interest and the welfare of the people and we'll make sure ukuthi umhlaba we will secure it for our future generations. Siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi ukhongolose has got the interest of the people in the heart futhi akekho noyedwa ayikho neyodwa inhlangano eyokwazi ukumelana nawo ukhongolose uma kuza ngasentweni zokuvikela umhlaba wabantu nasentweni zokuvikela amalungelo abantu. So we do appreciate ibill efana nale ingakho sithi azilime ziyetsheni asiye phambili ukhongolose uqhubeke nokulwela amalungelo abantu. We hope abantu bazozwa futhi balalele futhi bayabona ukuthi even nangomhla ka-29 kunezizathu ezinqala ezenza ukuthi sithi ukhongolose awuvotelwe ubuyiselwe emandleni ngoba unqubo mgomo yawo icacile nje.
Your time, Honorable Dube. Your time, Honorable Dube. Honorable Dube.
Kakhulu
Honorable Dube. Honorable Dube, thank you. Thank you, honorable members. We have now come to the end of the debate on the conferral of the final mandate. On the final mandate on the Expropriation Bill B23D 2020, the House now needs to vote on the final mandate as per the recommendation of the Portfolio Committee of Public Works. I now put the question to the House as follows. The KwaZulu-Natal Legislature agrees to confer a final mandate on 1. The KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Delegation to the National Council of Provinces to vote in support of the final mandate on the Expropriation Bill B23D 2020 at the relevant NCOP Select Committee, and 2. The head of the provincial delegation to the NCOP or a delegated designated by the head of delegation to cast a vote in favor of the final mandate on the Expropriation Bill B23D 2020 at the NCOP plenary.
As I indicated prior to the start of the debate, I will now go party by party to obtain the vote and thereafter check if any member wishes to record an individual vote. I will start with the IFP.
IFP reject.
DA.
Madam Speaker, the Democratic Alliance does not support the bill.
EFF.
Honorable Speaker, EFF rejects the bill.
NFP. Cofoza Nonengwa.
Oh, Imimoya. Honorable Speaker, the NFP supports the bill.
NF.
Honorable Speaker, the MF supports the bill.
ACDP. ACDP not in the House. ATM. ATM also not in the House. African National Congress.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The African National Congress support the bill. Thank you.
Members, I have the votes of all parties. Is there any member who wishes to express an individual vote that is different from their party vote or to abstain? Any member? Secretary, is there any? If there is none, I'll ask for the tally of the votes, Madam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Votes in favor, 43. Votes against, 26.
You did not finish. Abstentions, you said nothing.
Abstentions, no. Votes in favor, 43. Votes against, 26. Abstentions, no. Thank you.
Honorable members, I therefore declare the result of the vote as follows. In favor, 43, against 26, abstentions nil. The ayes have it. It is recorded that the mandate on the final mandate on the Expropriation Bill B23D 2020 is supported. That then concludes voting on the conferral of the final mandate on the Expropriation Bill. And that brings us to the conclusion of the item on the order paper concerning the conferral of the final mandate on the Expropriation Bill. Honorable member, the House is adjourned.
Order, Madam Speaker.
Washanzwakele kwathiwa akhumbula ukuthi usihlalo.
Hayi siyabonga kusho ukuthi nje lo mhlaba ngeke ubuye makusena ama opposition parties asapota belungu all out.
Uzobuya. Hayi ukuthi
ubolalela ukuthi izathu zethu zithini, ungaveli nje ukuthi all out. Lalela ukuthi what are the reasons.
Azikho izathu somkhulu umthethwa
ukulalela 29 May ayancipha amandla azonithela imisila izongena phakathi kwemlenze. I'm telling you
uzobona umhlola wemakhelwana wami wasejozini sizokufundisa abantu.
Njengoba kwilist yakho ngabafana ngabantu basejozini ngicabanga ukuthi bazonivotela kanjani.
Where's the minority front? We're going to tell the whole of Phoenix how they voted. The whole of Phoenix is going to hear how the minority front voted. You finished in Phoenix. Finished.
Honorable members.
Minority front.
Honorable members. Yeah, the minority front is finished.
And have those members that are responsible for the mission, please. We love you as the bill have been passed.
Good morning, honorable members.
What is the bill is passed?
Honorable members, may I remind honorable members that we have a briefing by the AG at 9:30. So I'm requesting that honorable members stay put for that briefing. Thank you so much.
Simlindele impela u-AG ukuthi uthini ngoba sifuna ukuzwa ukuze kulungiswe izinto bese nalabo ovuka engceni laba babona